Kia ora koutou, I am the Casual Kiwi, and thank you for joining me for this very special post-match commentary between ScrubTierYGO, my fellow content creator, and myself, following the December 2018 ban list. Me down the bottom here, playing my Time Lock deck, and ScrubTierYGO up the top there, playing Kozmo, with Dark Destroyer now at 3. It seemed the perfect opportunity to see exactly what the deck can do. Before we continue, I'd like to give a big thanks to ScrubTier for doing this match with me. He's a fantastic guy, and a link to his channel will be down in the description below. This was very much just a fun match for the both of us, so there will be some misplays in here, but I'll go to pains to point them out when I see them. And while I'm a big fan of YGO Pro myself, I think Dueling Book is very good for reminding you why you can't just run your deck on autopilot. You need to pay attention and make sure that you get the very most out of your deck, no matter how well it's constructed. So without further ado, let's head into the replay. So as you can see down here, we've got a pretty solid opening hand. We've got Consecrated Light, Cards from the Sky, Metaverse, Rivalry of Warlords, and Card of Demise. The only problem we have, however, is that we're not going first. So Consecrated Light is not going to be operating to its full potential here. Thankfully, Card from the Sky might be able to help us out with that. So let's hit play. So ScrubTier is going to be opening here with a tin can play and a set card. Now, as I recall, we made a bit of a mistake here when sussing out the card that tin can is going to add to hand, but it's nothing game breaking, thankfully. Kozmo matchup is very interesting here because, of course, they are running plenty of darks, but also a mixture of lights, and they do have the ability to get on quite a bit of damage quite quickly, as well as a few options to break your back row, which can be quite dangerous. We don't have a lot of built-in ways of protecting our back row, though we do have 3 Dark Bribe in the side. So yeah, it should have been Slip Rider added to hand. We realised that in a second. Slip Rider is not dark either, so if ScrubTier can get rid of my lair, then he can dodge the Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. Possibly. However, Metaverse might mean that he doesn't see that coming. Okay, so he passes over to our turn. And we have got Lair of Darkness. So hopefully he'll use his spell negation on the lair. We'll get rid of that Consecrating Light. Again, can be very useful, but there's still options that they can play around with. Remember, Consecrating Light prevents the special summon of dark monsters, but Lair only turns them dark once they hit the field. So we wouldn't have been able to prevent him summoning the Slip Rider. So yeah, he is going to hit the lair. But that doesn't stop our Card from the Sky going through. Always remember when you're playing any limitations that your cards put on here. For example, you cannot special summon or conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this card. So I'm going to set some back row. get out Sandion. This is the real perk of going second with this deck, is that you can open with Sandion, and he's just amazing for breaking boards and disrupting your opponents, getting rid of any problematic monsters. But here I make the mistake of thinking I can battle right away. Not so. ScrubTier rightfully pulls me up on this. Yep, no, can't go to battle this turn. Thankfully, however, I do have the skill drain set. So as long as I can get that off, we're going to be okay. And for good measure, we're going to go into card of demise. Sorry. The great thing about the draw power we've got here is they all basically limit the same things. We're not going to be special summoning in this deck. The battle phase is optional sometimes. It's not as effective as it might be. So there isn't any great limitations. We're just going to dig, dig, dig. Evenly matched is also a thing to worry about with this deck, but what I'd say is that as long as you can get one solid floodgate on board, you're not in too bad a position. Now, of course, we have that zombie world in there in case we need to turn off Lair of Darkness. And depending on the matchup, of course, if it's Thunder Dragons or something that's particularly reliant. Cyber Dragons also suffer under Zombie World because everything needs machines. That might become important later in this duel as well, just a heads up. So yeah, we've got the Compulse there as well. So lots of options for protecting our Sandion or disrupting our opponent. But yeah, he's gonna flip up that Artifact Sanctum in the end phase. Bring out Moral Tech. See if he can pop one of my back row. So what's he gonna hit? Ah, my bad, yes. Destroy one face-up card your opponent controls. So he cannot destroy the Sandion with Moral Tech and everything else is set. So that's something to remember with artifacts. Now, a very important play coming up here with the overlay with Moral Tech and Kozmo Slip Rider is again why you always have got to pay attention. I completely missed this in the moment. Was that Cyber Dragon Nova does require 2 machines and a Fortree Moral Tech despite its appearance as a fairy. So he's going to try and use Infinity, which absolutely destroys this deck. But thankfully, we have the answers here. Skill Drain is going to prevent Infinity ever getting the chance to use its effects. And we have the Compulse in the back row here as well. So things are looking strong so far. The time lock is coming together. Again, more backup protection for Sandion or Disruption, Forbidden Chalice. And yeah, we're just going to send that Infinity right back to the extra deck. Again, ideally it wouldn't have gotten that far, but you live and you learn. And more importantly, we had the out. So because of Skill Drain, we can just attack for 4k. Oof. That's Sandion beatdown. And yeah, ScrubTier surrenders. Yeah, we don't have to destroy back row, so there's no worry with those artifacts. So that's it for game 1. Time Lock has got the early lead. Now, can we hold on to it? Let's see if ScrubTier can come back at us with something in round 2. So here we are at the beginning of game 2. Again, remember everyone, doing this in the spirit of collaboration through competition. Just having a bit of fun here. So again, forgive us our sins, forgive us our misplays. So again, this hand is interesting because ScrubTier has decided to go first again, so we are going second. We could use Guards from the Sky to banish Sandion to get the 2 draws, but because we are going second, Sandion is live, and we do have a way of protecting Sandion as well. So this is a pretty solid opening hand. So ScrubTier will begin again with another Tin Can play. So what do you guys think of Tin Can? Do you think it's too slow in the modern game? It does seem like a pretty stringent limitation for its search to be in the end phase. But because Kozmos do often play on their opponent's turn, that does help compensate for it. So this time he gets the Forerunner, and Dark Destroyer will be headed to the graveyard, along with Dark Witch. And we draw the last combo piece. So we've got Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, which will allow us to set up a bit of a soft lock there, negating all their monster effects. We've got an opponent's monster on board, so we can normal summon Sandion and have that layer up just as another bait for any artifacts that might be lurking, any sanctums of those artifacts, because we're never going to actually pop an artifact. I'll let you know that now. He's going to tag out into Dark Destroyer, but unfortunately he's not going to be able to use that to take out Sandion. So we are going to take the bait, we are going to go to battle. And now this was another mistake we made, in that Sandion's currently has all of its effects. So when we hit main phase 2, it is going to burn for 2000. However, in the heat of the moment, with the tag out and the search for the Slip Rider, we've unfortunately forgotten about the 2000. Again, this is always important. Make sure that you've checked all your boxes before moving on from a play. Don't let the game state progress further, because if you do realize it's going to have been an accepted game state and you're not going to get anything for it, for the most part anyway, depends on the judges of course. But yeah, he's not going to take the bait this time. Instead he's going to target the back row, and he does hit that compulse, which is quite crucial. Thankfully that 2000 didn't end up being the deciding factor in this match, but it very well could have been. So now we get the Sanctum as well coming out. So another morale tick to hit that layer, preserving our other 2 back rows, thankfully. The 2 we really need for the lock, so we have got our Metaverse and our Shadow Imprisoning. So ScrubTier is going to set 1, possibly another Sanctum, but could be an artifact. So who knows if this back row is live. So again we have the Nova play. We did miss it at the time. But once more, we have the answer, we have the out. We're able to chain to the summon of the Nova. And despite this not being a correct play, this is still an educational one. Because with a lot of Cyber Dragon players running around in the meta at the moment, you will be seeing Nova, you will be seeing Infinity. And Kozmo does have options to make this. You will see a Cyber Dragon later on is in ScrubTier's Kozmo deck. And Infinity is just devastating against the time lock, because they can negate your spells, your traps, and you're only ever really normal summoning a single monster at most in a turn. So it's very easy for them to take that monster and leave you relatively defenseless. Leer does have its token summoning ability, so if you do have Jill and Duo and you tribute that to get out Sandion and they take your Sandion, you still will get the 2 Torment tokens. And that can provide a bit of a wall until you've established the lock again. So now we have Kozmo Town coming down. Very powerful field spell. When you're playing a deck which has very high level monsters, having a field spell which can really compensate for those disadvantages, that can mulligan your hand, which can add back Cosmos, is hugely beneficial. It reminds me a lot of Sylvan Charity, which often acts in a similar kind of way. And if it wasn't limited to its one archetype, then it would probably be banned at this stage. Hence, see Graceful Charity. With Nova, though, he doesn't really have an answer for Sandion at this stage. But with that ability to mulligan, he may be able to find a way around. And that will certainly help. He's got Monster Reborn. So he now has a Kozmo on the field, though it cannot activate its effects. He's going to pass that over to us. We're going to draw into Forbidden Chalice. Chaining to our standby phase. ScrubTier is going to activate Kozmojo. So yeah, definitely a very powerful back row removal spell. Sets up your graveyard with your Cosmos and allows you to banish that card they control. Now, interestingly enough, he could use this on Sandion, because Sandion is only protected from banishment. From destruction. But we'll see what he does with this. Again, Kozmo, a very interesting matchup for the time lock. He does have options here. It is not a completely unfair game. He goes for Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, which does put me in a bit of a conundrum. Because do I hold on to the Forbidden Chalice? And this is where I think the game got away from me a bit here, because what I should have done is held on to the Forbidden Chalice to use it to stop my Sandion being shuffled away. But instead I play the Chalice to negate Sandion's effects now and go in for the additional battle damage against Nova, because Sandion's now on 4400. Thing is, though, is that because Sandion's effects were all live, I could have done the burn for 2000 at the end of the battle phase, still knocked out Nova, and then protected my Sandion for another turn. Unfortunately, I've been a little bit overconfident here, and I have removed my best option for keeping Sandion on the board. At this stage, I'm just hoping that I can top deck into another Sandion or another Chalice. So more Kozmo shenanigans from ScrubTier. He's going to again mulligan away. And he brings out the Cyber Dragon. And that is not the top deck I needed. That is Lava Golem. Cards from the Sky and Lava Golem, the two brickiest cards in my deck, and I end up with them both. So yeah, the biggest weakness of my deck, it unravels, so to speak. And at the moment I'm bluffing with cards from the Sky on the field here. And he's going to come up with another Morale Tech. Get rid of that layer just in case. Fair enough. So sorry about that, folks. Slight technical difficulties, but we're back where we were before. So he's got out another Morale Tech and his Cyber Dragon here. And I've got basically nothing at this point. I'm bluffing with my cards from the Sky. And I have a Lava Golem in here. So we'll see how that plays out. Not very well. So he's going to add back Kozmo Dark Destroyer using Kozmo Town's effect. He's going to shuffle Kozmo Forerunner back into the deck to see what he can grab. He brings out Strawman. And this is the power of Kozmos right here. It's that they can get so much damage on board with the battle phase. And with Dark Destroyer at 3, that has never been more true, apart from when Emergency Teleport was at 3. Oh dear, thankfully that is not back at 3, that is still at 1. But still, Kozmos are not to be underestimated. Now he's not going to go into Cyber Dragon Nova, he's going to bring out Artifact Durandal, which is another very good option. And at this point I certainly cannot win, but always remember this, that if you've got big problematic monsters on board, 90% of the time tributing over it is not a bad idea. So I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to set another floodgate. There can only be one. Fantastic combined with Zombie World, by the way. I'm just messing around here. This is far too late, but you know, it's always good to remind people, hey, kaijus are a thing, Ras Fear Mode is a thing, and Lava Golem is indeed still a thing. So it will burn him for 1,000. And that can be significant depending on the game state. Again, that 2k from him earlier would not have been enough to get him out of this match. So this is definitely ScrubTier's victory here. And so that is game 2 to ScrubTierYGO. So that's 1-1 now. We'll be moving on to the decider at this point. So it all comes down to this, the final epic showdown. Who will win? Who will come out triumphant? Whose deck is the most in table 600? Which deck has some competitive viability? Who really knows? So here we go, final game of the match. I'm rip-roaring and ready to go. I've got to decide first or second. I've decided to go first. I want to lock him down as soon as possible, get that time lock on board. We have opened Dark Snake Syndrome, one of my favourite cards. Ah, so good being able to play it in this deck. Then we've got Card from the Sky, Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, Card of Demise, and Rivalry of Warlords. So we've got Floodgate, we've got some draw potential with Card of Demise. I'm like, okay, we're going all in with this one. So start off with putting down the Dark Snake Syndrome, add that extra bit of restriction. As I probably mentioned in the video that will have come out before this, it's one of my first ever cards that I was able to win with. It must have been Skill Drain and Dark Snake Syndrome, the combination that really got me that victory, but really fun card to play. I just needed a deck for it. So we're Card of Demise and we're going to draw 3. Now this is really important, so I'm rip-roaring and ready to go. I've got my Demise online. I'm going into a Pot of Duality right after. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be the board to break. I'm going first, so Sandion is not live, but I've got a Gelen Duo in hand, so I'll be able to set that and stall out until I get to my Sandion. And in the meantime, lock them down with the Rivalry and the Shadow Imprisoning and the There Can Be Only One. Complete lockdown. All I need to do is set the There Can Only Be One and set the Gelen Duo, and I'm good to go. What do? I rush. And this is why you should never rush your turns. This is why you should always think about your plays, because keep an eye on that Gelen Duo in the grave, people. Because that's not where it's meant to be right now. He's opened, not too bad. He hasn't got Tin Can, but he has got Kozmo Town. So he's going to be able to do a bit of a mulligan. So he's going to set 2 here. And pass back. Yes, no, this was the dramatic final showdown we've all been waiting for, folks. What do you guys think about back row duels? Because I find them very interesting. It's like battleships across from one another. So we've switched the Rivalry and there can only be 1 on. I don't want to tip my hand too much. I'm keeping Shadow Imprisoning down. And obviously no targets for cards from the sky. Can't play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! But he can still play some Yu-Gi-Oh! Unfortunately, I've got the Dark Bribe, which is my main protection against back row removal, but I've got no place to set it. Always leave that gap so that you can place down an important card. It's very easy to forget that when you've got a lot of continuous traps. So I've got the Lair, so Shadow Imprisoning Mirror is going to be at maximum value right now. I wouldn't say that he's not the only one bricking here. I think we're both in Brick City. But the good thing about my deck is that even the bricks, to some extent, they make it easier for my opponent to brick too. Interactive game state. Honestly, I don't understand people who just want to finish a duel in a turn. At the same time, I do understand those who don't want a single game to go on 40 minutes. I must say Time Lock is probably my stalliest deck that I've ever put together. But I wouldn't say that it's unfair. I wouldn't say that you can't play around it. But it's a puzzle for your opponent to solve. And here's the first piece. Monster Reborn. Jalen Duo. Why have you betrayed me? Because of Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, when he takes effect damage from Dark Snake Syndrome, it's not going to return to the hand, which is usually great. Not so when you're facing it down. Hidden Dress is one of the cards on the side to prevent targeting from things like mind control. I focus more on the Dark Bribe though. I saw that as the major concern here. I've got the Skill Drain, which would be able to turn off the Jalen Duo's protection and make a Sandion play even more powerful. Unfortunately, we don't have the space for it in the back row. Slightly envious of Kozmo Town at this point. So that'll allow me to shuffle back traps in order to draw. Jalen Duo beatdown continues. So now Dark Snake Syndrome. Slight liability here. Unless I can find a way to get him under 3,200 and eke out a draw, we're in a bit of trouble here. I do have Sandion though. I do summon it, but I realise that unfortunately he cannot crash here. And I was the one time locked after all. So now ScrubTier does show off this play where he uses mind control to get Sandion. So there can only be one can be sent to the grave. Now I'm not convinced that this is how this play would work, unfortunately. I think that in the first instance the mind control might not be able to be activated because of there can only be one. But even if it did activate, then Jalen Duo would have to be sent to the graveyard because Sandion cannot be destroyed by card effects such as, though it does say send rather than destroy, so it might be possible to get Sandion on the grave. Nonetheless, I'd love to know if anyone in the comments knows the ruling on this, but either way, ScrubTier definitely had game there. Oh, it's been a blast. Thank you so much for sitting through our Table 600. I hope you've enjoyed. And thank you so much for sticking with us to the end. Remember as well to check out that description and subscribe to ScrubTierYGO, and you can subscribe to Casual Kiwi Yu-Gi-Oh! If you have not already. Every sub is appreciated. We're both very small channels. But again, thank you so much for joining us for this special Yugi-tuber match. Ngā mihi for now, and good night.